This program is rated PG. It contains themes and scenes which may not be suitable for very young audiences. Parental guidance is advised.
Be advised that the views and opinions of the hosts and guests do not reflect those of the station.
Magandang gabi po sa inyo lahat. Welcome to our show, Heartbeat Live. I'm your host, Ray Orosa. We'll be talking here about things that are important for our economy and for our nation. Sa gabi pong ito, minarapat naming ayahan dito ang isang economist, a political economist, if we can call it that. Wala na pong iba kundi si Mr. Calixto V. Chiquiamco. He is a columnist for political economy. Saan bang dyaryo ngayon lumalabas yan?
Sa Business World.
Sa Business
write,
World,
yeah.
no? Okay. I want to welcome you. Ano ba palayaw sa iyo?
Toti.
Toti, thank you for being with us here. And I hope we can have a fairly general discussion. Where are we in this country as far as our economy is concerned?
All right.
You know, a lot of people who are optimists and a lot of people are realists. And there is a conflict between what they see. And many of the optimists are in denial about the problems that we are facing, and many of the practical people are looking at it and saying, we're seeing many problems. Sure. And you can recite one by one all the challenges that we are facing. But before I talk about them, I want to talk about you and ask you, okay, give me your assessment first, a heads up on ano ba nangyayari sa ating ekonomiya? Gumaganda ba? Pumapangit? High inflation, high power rates, high gasoline rates. Wow! And we are being faced with so many new taxes in terms of government, and we are reducing some, but then we are taking it back through consumer taxes. So you are robbing Peter to pay Paul.
Well, inflation...
Okay, I'll let you have the floor.
Sige. Well, inflation is really a form of taxation, di ba? I think that the economy is still fundamentally sound in the sense that we will still grow at around, I feel, around 6% a year. But that is a slowdown from the previous 6.5, 6.7% growth rate. Why? Because well, one is rising interest rates globally, and also locally interest rates have been going up because of inflation. Now, the central bank has said to increase interest rates because inflation has gone up.
So it's going to make it go higher. It's going to make it go higher.
Well,
because if interest rate goes up for industry and commerce, they're just going to pass that on to the people.
Well, the idea is to slow it down. To slow down the economy, slow down the demand to go down, okay, so that inflation does not go up.
What kind of inflation do we have? Cost push or demand pull? Largely.
Well,
there is no such thing as an absolute.
Okay, I would say that it would be 70% demand pull.
Cost push.
Cost push, because of oil price increases and also the rice crisis. Our agricultural production is almost flat when our population is growing by more than 2%.
And exports are also down.
Exports are also down, which is
imports are also up.
What is this?
Imports.
Yes, imports because of BBB. They have started infrastructure spending.
Wala pa naman nangyayari sa ating BBB. But even without it, if we go full steam ahead sa BBB,
yes,
in 2019 and 2020, the problem we will have is it will drive our import bill way, way up. Can we finance it?
That's a good question. This is the same question I raised in my last column about the structural weaknesses of the Philippine economy. In fact, right now, the balance of trade deficit is quite big and it's getting bigger.
And it's almost bigger than the entire remittance of the OFW. on which we relied to
Correct.
stabilize our
Correct.
economy and build our
Correct.
reserves in the past.
Yes.
But those days are over.
That means also that we can only grow so much. We cannot grow beyond 6% because otherwise your trade deficit would really balloon and your inflation might really go up.
But that's only because we are doing nothing to develop our exports, diversify it, and make it a little bit more sophisticated.
Yes, you're
Both
correct.
in terms of agriculture, both in terms of technology, in IT, etc.
Well, I don't agree with you that you have to diversify by having, technology. Our problem is really because our labor cost is very high.
Aside from that.
We have very high minimum wages relative to productivity. We have the most number of holidays in Asia. I think we have 28 holidays. So effectively, businessmen
High
are paying 14 months pay. We have increased SSS pensions, etc. So the labor-intensive export industries, yung mga dati sa atin na garments, for example, yung mga light manufacturing,
Wala na yun.
nag-alisan nga, nagpunta sa Vietnam, nagpunta sa Cambodia because our labor cost is so high.
We have been for many years the highest labor cost in all of Southeast Asia.
Yeah.
It's
So
higher even than Thailand, certainly higher than Vietnam,
Okay.
Cambodia, or Burma, or Myanmar.
how do you diversify your exports? You cannot diversify it
Technologically.
technologically. You need higher education for that, but the most of our people are not equipped to do that.
But do you think industry is prepared to try to train their existing labor force, even in terms of the BPOs, no? In order, kasi alam mo, even our people in the BPO, in the call centers, etc., they're going to be taken over by AI.
Sure.
And that means their employment is going to begin to go down because it's no longer simply a matter of people.
No, I think the AI will take over some jobs, the basic low-end call center jobs. But still, it will still take time. Like for example, the business process outsourcing includes, let's say, accounting. Those types of work, back-end work, will still take time for AI to take over.
Let me tell you something. I'm telling this to you because I have a daughter who's working for a hotel in Singapore.
All right.
And they have initiated a program to take over a lot of valid hotel activities.
Sure.
And because of these digital programs that they have been able to develop,
Yes.
they can get the job done in 20% of the time it took them previously. In other words, more timely, more accurate, and much less labor intensive. And it's already happening.
Yes. Okay.
And what I'm talking about is that AI improvements and to take over labor, even the somewhat educated labor force, is going to come and hit you in the head so fast because the developments that are taking place in the AI industry is incredible. Tingnan mo na lang maski na sa newscasting, that's all AI already. Puro mga artificial voices na nadidinig mo dyan. It's no longer a newscaster.
Well, if that's the future that you think is coming, then the problem is we're not really very much prepared for it because majority do not even finish grade school or high school. So how can you expect them to go into AI? So that will therefore be a huge problem. But I think there still is a market, especially if your labor is cheaper relative to technology. I think there's still there'll be a demand for some, especially labor-intensive industries.
The problem there, my friend, is that the demand is always to increase minimum wages again.
That's the problem.
In other words, we cannot afford to increase minimum wage. Yet the government is squeezing the people who are earning the minimum wage through increased taxation, especially They may lower the tax here, but they make it up for a lot of consumer taxes. So what are you doing? You're robbing Peter to pay Paul. So you try to pretend to give something here, but you take it away in another form. This is where I'm saying that much of the train law, because it focuses on consumer goods, becomes a problem, and all other types of manufacturing here for the food and beverage industry, etc., and other things, what they're doing now is using the train as an excuse to increase prices way above what may be required by train. I'll give you an example.
Okay.
Isang bundle ng noodles. Bago ng train law, 10 piso. After the train law, 14 pesos. What's the warrant? What is the warrant for that kind of price increase? You have an industrial wholesale sector here that takes advantage of the train law as a means to raise their prices well beyond whatever the train law might mean. Is the government doing something about it? I am not aware of anything.
Well, I don't think it, in general, that consumer price have increased by that much because of the train law. Actually, their contribution is only about 0.4% to the
Alam mo,
6.2%.
Hindi mo kasi nakikita because hindi ka namamalengke doon sa pinaka-retail na retail eh. Kung saan nagbebenta ang isang bagay ng 10,
It might
15
be
pesos.
due not to train law, but to, for example, oil price increases. There has been really a significant increase in oil prices because of the Iran sanctions that's going to bite in November. So that's one really a reason. The other is, of course, really food prices have really gone up, mainly because the rice situation was mismanaged by the National Food Authority.
Is there something that the government can manage properly?
No, the government is always the problem. It's never the solution. That's why, in the case of the rice situation, you should allow a free market, free trade in rice, rather than let the government have a monopoly.
Ikaw naman eh, yun ang problema dyan eh. Ano kikitain nila?
Kikitain nino.
Pagkakwartahan nila. Pagbibigay ng lisensya para ikaw mag-import. Lahat yan, may tara yan eh. Meron taripa yan eh.
That's correct. That's why ang dapat na patakaran is to remove the monopoly ng national food and let there be a free market, free trade in rice. Anybody can import. San Miguel, if they want to import, for the employers,
That's fine.
import.
That's part of the answer. But unless the government is prepared to intervene in this wholesale market, which is controlled by a cabal, and family associations, they are the ones that control everything. They are the ones that make sure and kasi yung land reform ang nangyari doon. Dati yung mga magsasaka, dalawang pinanggagalingan ng pera. Yung may-ari ng lupa, at saka yung bumibili ng kanilang produkto. Tinanggal mo ngayon yung may-ari ng lupa. Iisa na lang ngayon ang kanilang pag-uutangan. So ano nangyari? Ang kabayaran nito, ibabagsak ko yung presyo, binibili ko yung produkto mo. So in other words, land reform cannot succeed unless all the other implementing rules are there, including the provision of credit, market, farm-to-market roads, etc., etc. And that holds true whether it is rice, it is corn, it is fish, it is meat, lahat. Na ngayon, that's the situation that we have. You might say, well, it's only like the marketing system in Japan. It's so complicated na hindi mo mababago. But dito, ang stranglehold ng mga middlemen sa mga magsasaka and dealers of Philippine produce, ganyan na lang.
Well, that is because our farms are very fragmented because of carp. The average size is only about 1 hectare. So how can you do mechanization with 1 hectare?
Alam mo, that is why they have to push collectivization and cooperatives among farms. Actually, ginawa yan ng nila Tony Meloto when they set up a cooperative among farmers in Bulacan to produce and diversify many of their products, including the production of rice and vegetables, etc., which has been, I understand, quite successful. And therefore, ganun ang nangyayari. So sa akin, the issue that you own only 1 or 2 hectares of land or half a hectare of land has been proven in Mindanao that if you know what you're doing, even half a hectare of land can feed 6 people a year.
Well, I don't agree there. Ang pagka may cooperatives, nagiging political yan.
Dito sa atin, baka ganun ang mangyari.
So,
in other nations, it has worked.
The problem with us is with the CARP, with the restrictions on limitation of ownership, is that efficient farmers can never expand. You know? So, kung ako, nagagawa akong 1 million per hectare dito, yung kabila, only say 100,000 per hectare, I cannot buy him out and make that also 1 million because of the restrictions of ownership.
No, I understand, and I share some of your own objections to the issue of land reform. But before we go ahead, we'll just have to pause for a few reminders. Babalik po tayo.